Final Four öncesi Anadolu Efes'ten Shane Larkin'le beraberiz. Hey Shane, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. First, I want to start. You were playing in Boston Celtics for Brad Stevens. How was that decision for you to deny it, being a third point guard in NBA and choosing to be here?
I had a decent season last year with Boston, but I wanted more time. I wanted to play more. I wanted to continue to work on my game and become a better player. So I think in order to do that, you have to be on the actual court. And I knew that the situation in the NBA, not many of the situations gave me the same opportunity that I would get here. So I chose to come back to Europe and come to Efes, and I'm really happy with that decision.
So when you compare to your Victoria season with Baskonia, what's the difference being here than Victoria? Because you came here with big expectations, biggest role maybe in the team. So when you compare those two teams, how was it?
I think the situation was very similar. I had a big role on both teams, but the way I had to play on different teams was a little different. On this team, we have more talent than we had that year in Baskonia, and this year I got to play off the ball some and on the ball, and just have different opportunities and think more score the basketball, as opposed to in Baskonia, I was playing 30 minutes a night, 32 minutes a night, and I had to go out there and try to get everybody else involved and kind of be the point guard that was facilitating and scoring, as opposed to here, my role is more so to come score the ball. So it took a while for me to kind of find out what I needed to do in order to stay on the court for a long period of time. But once I found out what Coach wanted from me and how he wanted me to do it, I started playing much better, and now we're here. So it's all good.
Yeah, you came here, the biggest role in team with big expectations, but you start the season because of the injuries, bad shape, whatever, not the way you want. So and there's a chain. The team was doing pretty good at the beginning of the season. So and Misic was ready for the same role that they expected from you. So how hard to get in the chain to make the people respect you during the season when everything's going good for the team? So how hard was it for you?
I mean, it's always difficult, when the first few months of the season aren't going the way that you planned it out to go, especially my first year in Europe. From the beginning, I was playing pretty well, and everybody was happy with how I was playing. And then to get here and not to be able to perform the way that I wanted to perform early on based on injuries and whatnot, it was frustrating. But, it just adds to the story. So I just stayed with it, stayed confident, stayed focused. I worked through my injuries, worked through my knee problems, and now when it really matters, when everything is more important, when the best players are supposed to show up and do what they're supposed to do, I feel great now. My knees are great. I'm playing pretty well, shooting the ball well. I'm glad for those times earlier in the year. Obviously, you don't want to have to go through those, but those moments made me stronger mentally, stronger physically, and now we're here in the Final Four, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I haven't watched many games of you before you came here. So first you showed up on the court, I was like, wow, is he really worth for that role?
Yeah.
So after a while, I focus on your performance more.
Right.
Then I find out that, even when you were playing bad, you always try to do the right thing for the team. So it's, very unique behavior for the players who had big ego, big responsibility, big expectations who came here. So for me, I played point guard. It's very hard because I always played with American players.
Right.
So how you manage to do this? When coach put you on the court, when you step on the court, they expect you more. But even you are not in good shape, you try to always make the good things for the teams. Even you play bad. So then you had my respect. That behavior. So it was very unique thing for the point guards like you. So how was sharing the ball with a player like Misic, who wants the ball a lot with himself?
Yeah, Voss is more of a traditional point guard. He likes to have the ball a lot, and I just had to kind of get used to that because last time when I was in Baskonia, I didn't have that. So At first, it was frustrating because I used to always get the ball and be able to play in transition and be able to get my spots and do what I like to do. But we had another guy who was capable of doing it as well. So I had to transition my mindset and transition my game sometimes to not wait in the backcourt and try to get the ball just to run the floor and maybe get an early attack, or if he pushes the ball and passes it up to me, attack before the defense gets down there. And I had to kind of change my game and kind of figure out how those things were going to work. And like I said, I think later on in the season, once we got more comfortable with each other, once Coach got more comfortable with me, then he started putting me out there more in my comfortable role. He started having me bring the ball up more, play more out of the transition sets that we have now. And I think if you really look at the season towards the end, I started playing much better, scoring the ball better, assisting the ball better, shooting the ball better, and just overall settling into that role that they really wanted me to have. And like I said, towards the end, when it was the most important times, I showed up when I was supposed to. So I'm really happy that everything turned out the way it did. Everybody faces some sort of adversity, and just hopefully we can continue to win games and make this a really special year.
Exactly. So this season is going to be memorable for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Till Barcelona game, which you scored 37 points here, till that game, coach hesitating to finish the games with you at the end, and you don't even have 2 consecutive games. You played great till that game, but after that game, I want to know how you feel before the game, how you prepare for the game, and how you handle after the game, because after you score 37 points, it's something. It's something. So it's even hard to handle after the game, because they start expect more, because they expect to make you 30 points every game after that Barcelona game. So how you prepare? How is the feeling before the game and after the game?
I mean, before the game, you're excited because Barcelona is a big team. Everybody wants to play for Barcelona. Everybody looks at Barcelona as one of the historic teams that always has great players and they have great history. So that game always you get up for and you get really excited for. So before the game, I was very excited. When we played them in Barcelona earlier in the year, they beat us pretty bad. I didn't play well, so I really wanted to go out there and make a statement this game. And that's what I did. I just went out there. I played my game and had a great game. And after the game, there's, the expectation is going to be higher. Everybody's going to be writing you on Twitter, Instagram, social media, interviews. Everything is going to start going crazy. But you just have to stay humble. You can't let it get to your head because it's just one game. It's a long season. One game doesn't define an entire season. One game doesn't define who you are as a player. So I just wanted to have that night to enjoy that game, enjoy that moment, enjoy that night that I had with my teammates. And the next day I woke up and just continued going on with my life, continued going on with my work, continued going on and try to keep improving so that I can have another night like that. And that's kind of how I went about it. I didn't watch the highlights for 3 weeks in a row or keep going back to it. I watched the game a couple of times. I watched what I did well, what I didn't do well. And I kind of just moved on. I put it behind me, and I just continued going along.
Yeah, and before the third game in Barcelona of the playoff series, I talked to some guys from your staff, and also Suat. He was my trainer when I was in the national team. So I talked after the third game to Suat. I asked how was Shane Larkin, how was his preparation for the games, and he told me that before the game he asked you, oh, are we going to win this game? And you said, don't worry, it's on me. Yeah. So this is a big confidence for you. You knew it. You were going to there, and you win the third game. So how you prepare the third game? Because you scored 37 like a couple months ago against Barcelona, and they pressure on you the best player on the court. So how you react to this game?
Well, I usually watch every single game that we play in, and we won game 1 here. I didn't play that well. Game 2, I played a little bit better, but I saw where I could have done more things or I could have been more involved. And then Game 3, after having a few days to kind of relax, get my body back, have more legs, I was very confident going into Game 3. And I remember watching the game and being like, I could have done that there, I could have done that there. And I was very focused on trying to make those mistakes not happen in that game. And before the game, I was just very confident. And the night before, we were in the treatment room, and all the trainers were in there, and they're like, Shane, we need you. We need you tomorrow. And I was like, I got you. I'm going to be there. And I'm just really happy that I was able to pull through.
You feel the same for the Final Four against
Yeah.
Fenerbahce?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Fenerbahce is a great team. The last 5 years they've been in the Final Four. They have the experience. They have the players that have been there, done that. But I feel like we beat them a couple times this year. So it's going to be a very tough game, very intense game. Both teams from Istanbul, 20, 30 minutes apart. We know each other very well. I think it's just going to come down to who does the little things, who dives for the loose balls, who boxes out, who gets the long rebounds, who takes the charges. I think those are what's going to be the difference in that game, and I'm really excited for it, and we'll see what happens.
So you're going to face against Bobby Dixon and Sulukas, you know. They have big experience in EuroLeague. How was your motivation, you know, when you face those kind of players? Like, you motivated on the your matchup position, or you motivated on yourself? You know, you focus on your performance, or you know, you try to kill their performance on the court. How was your motivation against those matchups?
Whenever I match up with a guy who is a big name player, my preparation doesn't change. I think I'm a pretty big name player myself. I think they're a great player. They have a lot of talent. I'm a great player. I have a lot of talent. And I think on that given night, I think it's just going to who's going to go out there and want it more. And I think what makes me feel like that is I don't really care about the statistics. I think if that player has 25 points and 5 assists and has a player impact rating of 37, but they lose, then I get the last laugh. So obviously you want to have the bigger game and the win, but if I had to choose between the win or the bigger game, I would choose the win every single time. And knowing that, I just go out there, play my game, and kind of just read and react to what's going on. And if that means I need to have 35 points and do that to win the game, then I'm going to try to do that. But if somebody else on my team, Vasa, Roddy, Adrian, Kruno, James, Bryant, if somebody else is playing well and I just need to take the step back and give them the ball, then that's what I'll do to get the win. So that's what's important.
Yeah, I always believe, you know, the difference between the great players and the good players. If the great players play good, the team doesn't lose. So this season, what I see, you know, after your great performance, the team never lost the game. So I believe in this. So which the college ball, NBA or Euro, which competition is more fun for you?
I think they're all really fun. College is fun because you're just young and you're there with kids that are your age and everybody's at the game just going crazy. And college was extremely fun for me. I was close to home in Miami, a great school, great place to be, and that was a really fun time. The NBA is a dream. Like, you dream of making it to the NBA. So when I first made it to the NBA, it was just like I was living in my dream world every single day, going to practice, going and playing with Dirk Nowitzki, playing with Carmelo Anthony, playing with these guys that you look at growing up and you're like, wow, and then all of a sudden he's your teammate. So I think the NBA was fun for that reason, and obviously playing against the best players in the world. And I think Europe, I think it's so fun to play in Europe because the passion of the game is much higher here. The NBA is great, don't get me wrong, it's very competitive, but it's more of like a show. Like, everybody goes there because they like the alley-oops and the step-back threes and all that. But the people in Europe, the game of European basketball is like very, very passionate, very good basketball. It's team basketball, and the fans are very more. You feel like the fans are with you more in Europe. So I would say all three are very fun, and I wouldn't be able to choose which one was my favorite.
So what are your goals in future of your career for the next season? And you still have your NBA dream, or you want to stay in the Europe or whatever?
I think that's something I'll think about when the season's over. I have something much more important to think about right now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to start thinking about after that. I don't want to start thinking about what happens if we win the Final Four. If we don't win the Final Four, can I go back to the NBA? Can I go to Europe? I mean, to China? Can I stay here? Can I go to wherever? I don't want to think about those things right now. Right now, I'm really just focused on Fenerbahce. And figuring out what we need to do as a team to get that win. Because if you win those kind of games, if you win in the biggest stages and you show up in the biggest stages, then all that other stuff will take care of itself. So that's what I'm focused on right now.
All right. So you don't want to talk about next season, huh?
I don't know where I'll
I mean,
be.
I want to know that you want to be the best point guard. You prefer to be a best point guard in Europe, or you are okay with the second point guard in NBA?
I think I'll say this. If I'm in Europe, my goal is to be the best point guard, to show I'm the best point guard, to lead whatever team I'm on to the furthest level and win all the awards. That is my goal if I'm in Europe. If I'm in the NBA, my goal is to get consistent minutes as the second guard, because I'm not going to go back and start immediately.
Sure.
As a second guard, and then show I'm too good to be a second guard, and then end up starting, and then continue to grow and be one of those guys who starts for years, and everybody gains the respect of that guy. So either way, I'll be happy. But right now, all that doesn't matter. What matters is that game against Fenerbahce.
So my last question, since you start the season as a team, what was the goal in your mind? Okay, we didn't talk a lot about your, this Final Four, or just to make playoff, or I don't know, make 12, get 12 wins in this normal season. So what was your goal in the mind? In your mind, and also your teammates. You were dreaming to be in the Final Four, or first you go step by step. Let's focus on the playoff first.
Yeah. I think we went step by step pretty much this year. Last year, it was not a good season here. They won 7 games total in EuroLeague, so it was a struggle last year. So I think the focus wasn't, all right, we're going to go from 7 wins to the championship. I think it was more so, let's focus on right now. Let's focus on making the playoffs. And then when we started the season well and we won a couple games.
Yeah, or what is the breaking point, that game, that
right.
you believe yourself to be in the Final Four?
We came back against Fenerbahce here early, and I think maybe the 4th game of the year. And I think after that moment, we really started believing. I don't know if we believed we would make it to the Final Four at that moment, but I think we really believed that we were going to be able to make the playoffs. And then we started playing well, and then we were top 4, and we saw some of the media people, whether it was across Europe or in Turkey or whatever, saying, Efes is in the top 4 right now, but we don't think they're going to stay there. All these other teams are going to probably pass them up, and we took that, and we kind of okay, people are starting to doubt us, and we really came together as a unit. And then I think we won here against we won here against Panathinaikos by a big amount. And everybody was talking about how good Panathinaikos was going to be. So I think after that moment, we really started believing that now we can get home court. We can get top 4. And then we just kept winning games. And we really started believing in ourselves and what we could do. And I think after that moment, we really were like, all right, we have a chance to make it to the Final Four. And
so you mean the game after you lost in Ülker Arena against Fenerbahce, and after 2 days you won against them. You mean that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because after that game, as a team, I can see it from outside that biggest confidence the players has. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.